My name is Louisbertson. Welcome to this series of videos about Total.js Flow. Here I am at Total.js/flow. This is the website of Total.js Flow, a visual programming interface. As you can see, it's a visual programming tool that is going to help you build applications, automations, APIs, IoT automation tools, something like this. It is very nice tool that you can use with the help of drag and drop components. Okay, here in this page you will learn some key things about AutoJS, like it is a node-RED alternative. Okay, it is low hardware requirements, it is open source, there is no dependencies except TotalJS. That is the only dependency of Total.js Flow. A built-in component editor. Okay, very nice. Dark mode, light mode. Okay, nice and modern UI. Many components, already existing components. There are some tutorials. Okay, there are also some video tutorials on YouTube in my channel. That is why before you continue, make sure that you click and subscribe to my channel. Okay, there are some export import features to help you move quickly, wait time traffic indicator, multi-threading, so on and so forth. In this web page you can read everything you want about Total.js Flow. Make a pause to this video and read everything, okay, to make sure that it fits to your needs before you watch this video and recommend it to other people. As you can see, there are some components already existing in the Total.js Flow application, ready to use. Okay, there are also some extensions, okay, and lots of things. Yes, you can learn about Total.js in this website. This series of videos is going to focus on getting started with Total.js Flow. It is something more practical because we don't want to talk too much about Total.js Flow. We want to get started with it, focus on practicing and making nice applications with it. And if you want to read more about Total.js Flow, you can subscribe also to my blog in Medium. I have written many blog posts about Total.js Flow there. Like let me show you some published. Okay, if you get to my blog you will find these blog posts. Some of them are talking about Total.js in general, but most of them are talking about Total.js Flow. Like here, beginner guide to integrate ChatGPT in Total.js Flow, how to install Total.js Flow, how to parse some XML within Total.js Flow. Yes, there are many things. How to create OTP code generator. I have made lots of blog posts about it. And also you can have some informations tutorials in this section. Okay, here we have latest news section. Here we have some blog posts from Total.js blog website, and also you can ask some questions here. In this video we try to explain what we are going to do in this series of videos. Yes, this is an introduction and I hope that you like it. Like, subscribe, comment if you like, and see you in the next video where I will teach you how to install Total.js Flow and get started with it. Thank you for watching. See you next. In this video we are learning everything we need to know about Total.js flows. Okay, last time we installed a Total.js Flow application in our machine. If you didn't follow this video, please look into my previous videos to see how to install the Total.js Flow. After you install a Total.js Flow, you need to create some flows. This video will focus on how to organize the flows to take advantages of the Total.js Flow and build your applications. Before we get into practices about creating and managing our flows, I would like to give you some basic concepts of this. Okay, let me draw the concepts in this application so that you understand. Last time what we did is we installed an instance of Total.js flow, okay, and it was running on port 8000. Okay, this is running on port 8000. Okay, once we spin up an application on 8000 like that, what you need to do is to organize your flows, because this flow instance is too big, so that you have to organize your flows and do your applications. Total.js flow is organized into some flows. Okay, a flow is something you create within the Total.js flow, and this is a way to organize your application into some categories. Maybe you want to have a flow for managing some payments here, and you need another flow for testing things. You need another flow for the production, another flow for whatever you need to do for IoT, something like this. Okay, you will be able to create some separate instances like that. Each flow can be talking to another flow after, if you need it, but what you have to do is to create a flow and organize it for your workflows. Why is it important? Because in some cases you want to scale your applications into many flows. You can create as many flows as you want within the Total.js flow and scale your application. But if your flow application is not using too much resources, you have to use one flow or two flows depending on what the needs and or how big is your application. Okay, this makes sure that you can process as many messages in one instance of Total.js application. Okay, I think it is interesting to be able to spin up one instance and be able to process millions of messages within the flows you have created. Now let us move into our last project. We are going to launch our applications and be able to give some examples of that. If I go back to the last folder, which was called the Flow Lab, we are going to find the same project called Flow, and we can launch the applications. So I'm going to use my terminal. So I get into my desktop first, and Flow Lab. Okay, and then Flow. Okay, we have the application here. We can just type npm start, and as I said, you will launch an application on port 8000. After you launch it, you are able to open it in your browser, not browser, local host. Okay, sorry. Yes, and here it asks you to create a flow. This Total.js flow application doesn't contain any flow. Okay, to start creating something awesome, you need to create a flow by clicking on this button or clicking on this button. It's the same thing. If I click here to open up a panel for me to create my flow, if I click on this green button too, it is the same. Now I can create a flow by specifying the name of the flow. Okay, and here if I have a support link from the Total.js team, I can enter it here. I can specify a version of my flow, like version 1. The author is going to be louisbertson. It is not, it is optional informations. You can put a reference just like this, and here a group. Like I can decide to make a group for production flows. Hit enter. It is going to create automatically this group for me. I can give an icon for this test flow. I'm going to put something like lab and take this icon. The let's say I can say that the color is going to be this color. Okay, this is proxy endpoint for routing the incoming message requests into this flow, but I'm not going to get into it. Later I will make a specific video about the proxy endpoint to explain you everything. This is another video that is coming. I can limitate the number, the maximum memory limit for it, because every flow is running into your processor, and you can limitate the maximum memory that it's going to use. This is in the coming examples. Maybe we are going to get back into these points. This is some additional informations, maybe marked down to describe your flow, what it does for your team to use it easily, to work on it and understand everything. Like a documentation of your flow, you can put it here. Now you can submit and create your flow. Okay, after you're creating your flow, you can create another flow, as many as you want to create, and put it into the same group or another group. Okay, the group is production. Let us create another flow that I will call lab. Okay, let me put something payment, for example, payments, and I can right click on to submit, because all the other informations are not required. Well, for payment, maybe I will put something like money icon. Let me see, and click on enter. Because I didn't specify any group for it, it is coming at the first place. But I can edit. For example, I can edit by clicking on this button. I can pause, I can put some global variables for this flow. I can have open it into a new tab like that. Okay, I can also edit it by specifying a group, for example. Okay, putting it in the same group, and it will be a line in the same group like that. Okay, I can also do some other stuff like clone from this flow. If I want to create a new flow that looks like the first flow, I can clone it and just modify things. Like I can change it to something like instead of payments, I can say OTP, like this flow is generating some OTP. I think we have a problem, or what? It is failing to make it happen. Let me refresh it. Maybe it is going to fix it. Yes, I have cloned things here. I can now edit this one and call it OTP. Okay, yes, you can create as many flows as you want for your application. Let me change, for example, the icon of OTP by putting something like code. Let us put something like this. Right, now what you can do also is download this flow and distribute to someone. Okay, you can download it, and it is going to be a JSON file that you are going to be able to save it and make a backup, or share this flow to someone. Okay, you can also restart the flow, because it is a flow that is processing many data inside. You can stop the flow, restart it. Okay, this is useful in some cases. or you can also publish the flow into the community. This is very important. You can make a very awesome flow that you like very well. You want to share this for the community. You can click on this and you are able to give your address mail, give a message about the flow and publish it, so that but first of all it will be validated by the Total.js flow team, and after validation you will be able to share this flow for the others. Okay, in the next versions you will see some templates from the community, so that you can use them. Yes, now that you know how to create and manage a flow, let us open our flow. Okay, let me click on this test flow, open it up first. Welcome to the Total.js flow designer. With the designer you can create your own flow. Yes, you click on it, done, and you are able to create some flows inside of it. You can open many flows like that and have many tabs here. Okay, I'm not going to download some components at first. This is coming in the next video, but yes, you can open as many flows as you want and switch between them and design your application. Okay, this is a video about the flows. I thank you for watching it, and see you in the next video, where I will teach you how to create a hello world application within a flow. Thank you for watching. See you next. What's up guys, welcome to this second video about Total.js flow. In the last video we had an overview of the Total.js flow, how it works and what it is going to provide you, and I showed you where also you can find some information to learn about Total.js. In this video I will focus on how to install Total.js flow and get started with it. Yes, there is some another website I didn't want you to see from the first video. It is the documentation, because this project is open source and the documentation is available, so that people who want to contribute can do it. People who want to learn things and customize Total.js for their needs can do it very easily. Okay, this documentation is here. Okay, I think we can click on this button to get straight to the GitHub and download and install Total.js flow, but here we are going to go through the documentation. Yes, it is very important. If you go to this documentation, you find that we have some informations, some overview about Total.js flow, and you can install things from there too. Okay, like here in welcome, you can have some section here about installing Total.js flow. Okay, we already have some videos about installing Total.js flow, and we are making this special video because this is a special series of video, okay, where I will install it and give you some key things about how to get started with Total.js very easily. Nice. First of all, you need to have nodejs installed in your machine. Okay, this is very important. Here I am using a Mac OS, but you can install Total.js flow in your machine, whatever is the operating system. Okay, make sure that you install nodejs. Okay, it's very important. Okay, you can click on the link here and install it if you don't have nodejs already installed in your machine. Version 14 and higher is okay, and here you have to download the project from GitHub. If I click here, I will be able to get into the website. Nice. You can get back to the documentation to follow the next steps, or you can stay there and follow the next steps in the readme.md file. Okay, I am going to install this Total.js application in my machine, Mac OS, but it is the same steps for Linux or Windows operating system. Let us click here and copy. You can click here and download. After that you unzip it and get started with it, but I just click on it. We are developers, we can do it via command line. Let me get into my desktop. I will create a document, a folder instead, that I will call lab, flow lab. Okay, like a laboratory for testing things, and I get into it. Okay, now I can clone the application, the repository of Total.js flow. Yes, we wait some time for this application to be successfully cloned into the folder. The folder is here. If I click, you see it is downloading the flow, this application, into the folder. After that we can follow the added steps here. And don't forget, very important, if you want to know things about Total.js flow and everything, we have a very nice channel on Telegram about it. Join the Telegram group. Okay, if you click here, okay, it will take you to the Telegram group where you can ask some community members and have some support. Nice. Let's get back to this repository, and as it is still cloning here, we can wait for the end of the download. I have a very poor internet connection, but let's hope that things are going to be okay. While we are doing it, I can move and try to show you something very important about Total.js flow, like some other ways to install it. Okay, if you get back to the installation documentation, you see that you can add Total.js also in your Docker as Docker container. It is easy like as Docker pull and Docker run, and it is okay. Nice. The other thing is that you can also install Total.js flow as an independent application, okay, using the Electron version. If you don't know about Electron is something like yes, it's a framework that helps you package some application, build desktop applications using HTML and CSS, something like this. Total.js also has a version of it. Like if you go to GitHub of Total.js, github.com/Total.js, you can click on repositories and find it. It is called Flow App. Okay, Flow App. You click on it, you will see the steps to follow in order to install it and build it for your operating system, for Mac OS, for Linux, and for Windows. It is very important also, but you can run it without building also. This is nice alternative to do what is good for your project. For your, if you want to test it, it is better for you to follow the steps, download it, download nodejs, install everything, and get started with it. So it is as easy as like that, because we don't want to focus on doing technical things. That's why flow programming is made. Even installations is very easy like that. Let us see how it is progressing. Yes, nice. We have our project installed in our machine. If I do ls, yes, you have it here. Let me show you. If I right click, double click on this, you have the project now here. The next step is what? You do npm install npm is the package manager of nodejs, and hit enter. Nice, we already have it here. Now what we can do is npm start to start our project. What is going wrong? Oh yes, I have to get into the flow folder first. I am sorry. npm install. Okay, npm start. Now it is going to work. All right, we can hop on this project here. Yes, where we go in this first page of authentication, you have to create a default account. You can click here to automatically fill in the form and click on sign in. After that, welcome to Total.js flow program interface called Total.js flow. Next, create unlimited count of flows and automate your IoT devices, process and workflows. Thank you for using Total.js flow. Then nice, we have this nice interface, and first thing you have to do is to change your credentials, because you have created, we are in a default account. Sometimes people forget the password after, and this is not interesting. So get straight to this section called credentials. You click on it and you put your own credentials. I will put my email address, and here I create a password. I confirm my password and I click on submit. Now I can close my project. 2 days, 3 days, 1 week after, I can come, I put the same credentials and I get in. Nice. In this video we were focusing how to install Total.js flow. After in the next video we are trying to learn how to create some flows, to learn everything you need to know about the flows. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and if you have some questions, don't hesitate to get into our Telegram group and ask your questions. I am always online there. So, and we have also other people who use Total.js flow for a very long time, that can these people can help you, give you a nice support too. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Hi everyone, welcome to this video. I will try to create a hello world application, a very simple application using Total.js flow. It's a basic application. After I show you how to create some flows within the Total.js application, Total.js flow, I would like to create a hello world application. For that, I will separate. I didn't show you how to remove and delete a flow last time. It is as easy as right click on this button and click on remove. It is very simple. I will create a very simple flow called hello world application. Okay, let me change it to globe, because I want to create the whole world. Okay, and I will get back here later. I can submit. Okay, if I click and open this flow, first of all it is going to welcome me into this flow designer. Okay, and after that I will be able to download some components. I will make the next video will be dedicated to components, about how to create some components, how to download them, how to use them, how to drag and drop some components. But in this video I am going into the basics. Okay, I will go straight to downloading some components. I need a trigger component. Okay, and then I need a print component. Let me filter and take the print component. Okay, I import some components and I close. We'll have these components in the left panel. I can start building my hello world application by dragging and dropping something like this. Okay, these are the components. Okay, notice that this button is highlighted to blue. I can create a connection between this component and this other and click on apply. Okay, this component can have some settings, but I'm not going to get deep into this. Okay, I can write hello world like this and save. After that, I can click on run, and as you can see, you have hello world message in this. Okay, this is how Total.js flow programming works, and thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next video. Welcome to this video about Total.js flow. Today I am introducing a very important topic about Total.js flow, the flow components. The components, I don't know what to say, because this video is so important, because without components we cannot talk about Total.js flow. The components are in the heart of Total.js flow, and we thank God, we thank the community of Total.js flow for building some already existing components and putting them free for use in the Total.js flow applications. We thank you so much, Total.js flow community, for doing it for us. Now in this video I have to explain you these components to you, to make you understand them, how they work and how to use them, because all these components created by many people have something in common that every Total.js flow programmer need to understand, need to know. And without talking too much, let us get started. Okay, last time we created this very simple application, a hello world application with some components. I didn't explain things because I was preparing this video to explain you everything. Okay, this hello world application is made up with two components, a trigger component and a print component. Okay, we are going to create another flow, okay, for this video. For creating, we can click on this button and say components as the name of the, and I don't know what okay, let me take this, okay, and submit. As this video is about components, we are creating a flow called components. After you open up your flow for the first time, it is going to open this panel for you to create to download your components. Okay, how to say, we have three kinds of components, and you can see it here. Three types of components. We have some components for triggering data in the flow, some trigger components, some output components, and some action components. This is very interesting to understand. Okay, if you need trigger components, you can search. If you need output components, you can search. Okay, this is how I'm going to split my to explain my videos. Firstly, trigger components. Okay, but first of all, how do you show this panel? Okay, if you open up this, you can have it here. If you don't have a flow component already installed, you can click here to download your first flow component. If you click, the panel comes out. Here also, if you click on this plus button, okay, you will be able to either create a new component or download already existing components. There are some other type of components that you can have from TMS sources, but these are some very specific components that come
It's 17 hours.
into our flow. So you click on download and the same panel comes out again. Okay, how to create to install the components? You just scroll and see the categories, the group of components, and you can choose the components from already existing and build your application. But we are going to focus on trigger components. If you get down here, you will find a group called trigger. Okay, on this trigger group are the trigger components that you can use to create and inject some data into your flow. It is even in the human body, you need something to pump the blood into the your system. Okay, and this is the heart. Okay, as analogy to it, you can have trigger components. Like you have a trigger component firstly, which is able for creating some data. Okay, and you have many components like that. You just click and download, click on import. Okay, and as they are alerted here, you will find that it is listed here also. But if you don't want to prompt you by asking you if you need to confirm before you import, you can uncheck here, and from now you are able to just click. Okay, just click and you are able to install them. After you import your components, you are now able to close it. Nice. These are some trigger components here that you can use. Trigger components are just components that can create and inject some data into the flow. Like this component is injecting its data into the flow by clicking on run. The type of data you can inject into the flow are simply what you see here. The type of data, it can be a string, a number, a boolean, a date, or buffer base 64 data, something like this. It is very important to choose the type of data accordingly to the kind of application you want to create. But you can inject some random data or decide to put some keystone, like a string. I was putting hello world last time. Okay, but you can put if you choose a number or an object, you can create an object and inject it into the flow. Okay, let me get back to a string like that. But the common point about them is that you can inject some data with some trigger components, and as you can notice, they only have output for injecting data into the flow. Okay, if I take this notify component, the same thing. This timer means that it can inject some data after some interval of time. Okay, and this is very important. You can see that you can have some cron tab. This is very interesting too. Okay, to give some specific and professional way of creating intervals, like every month, every minute, every hour, every 3 hours, with the cron tab, standard. Okay, and also you can have some components like minutely and http route exec. Okay, nice. If you want to learn about these components deeply, you can right click on it and read information. Okay, we have a small description of the component. Okay, after that you can close. As you can also read add some nodes into your components, and this is common to every component you will take. Okay, you can have some components like that, some nodes, like some nodes. If you submit, it will give some nodes here, but if you don't want, you can edit, remove it, and submit. Okay, you get back to the same size, same format of component. Nice. These components, as I said, can create and inject some data into the flow. Okay, some other components may be action components, like you can have let me download some action components, like string operation. Okay, string operation can do an action into the data of any trigger component, but at least it is, if it is some string, like here the string component is an action component. And yes, action components are different, and I will create another video to explain action components. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Hey guys, welcome to this new video about Total.js flow. We are still talking about the components, because the last video was about trigger components, and this video is about actions components. The next video will be about output components. After that, we will talk about how to create custom components. Okay, and this is very important. We are spending lots of time on components, because components are the foundation of flow programming. That is why if we remove components in flow programming, components are also called nodes or whatever. If you remove them, you don't have flow. You cannot have flows, because it's the foundation of everything. Well, when we are talking about action components, think about it as some components that takes in some data, some messages, and outputs it to other components. Okay, after an action or certain actions. Okay, let us see. Last time we had we know let me remove this one. Last time we talked about trigger components that have only one output. It means that the component itself can create a message out of some actions. It can be on the network, on the computer. It can be a request from HTTP. It can be a manual action that you trigger here. That is why we call it a trigger component. Well, today we are talking about action components. Okay, think about it as something like this, that is able to take it's going to take a message in and do certain actions inside of it, and have some output for another component or for an output. So action components are very simple to understand. This is the concept behind action components. In the last analogy, we were talking about a production chain, where you can have some robots in the production chain, production line, that makes some specific actions. Okay, but at every start you will have something to trigger the process. Okay, that's why we need trigger components. After that, we will in the same production line, you will have some other robots who are going to do some actions, like fill the bottle, and then another action that is going to be to put a label on the bottle, and put the so on and so forth. Okay, that's the concept behind action components, and this is what we are going to see how to make some actions. What are the action components we already have in total.js flow, and make some tests with it. We already have our folder of last time, we still have it, and we are going to use it. Start the project. I go to my desktop, then flow lab. Okay, inside of it we have our flow project. So I go inside the flow again, and I type npm start. This is going to spin up an instance of total.js flow on port 8000. I can open my browser and type localhost 8000. Yes, okay. Last time we were working on this flow. Okay, this flow is called components because like I said, we are going to spend very long time on this kind of components. We saw actions, some trigger components like trigger that is able. Let me show you an output component. This is not the goal of the video, but at least we can download some output components so that you can see how a trigger component can create a message and send it into the flow. So let us download some components. Click on download and I search for print. Okay, the print is an output component. We're going to have a video especially for output components, but for now I'm just using print to print, as the name says, the output of the trigger component. Okay, if you followed the video about the Hello World application, you must understand a little bit what I'm talking about here. If you click on run, you trigger the flow and you have a message that is created, a string that is sent to the output to this print component. Okay, sorry. Now what we are going to do is to at least have an action component here that is going to process our component, our message from trigger component. Let us go and download a new component. We can have lots of action components. There are so many action components. Okay, if you want to search for action components, you can click here and start searching. What I want to see is let us say action component. I will take, for example, string operation. Okay, let me use this search bar. Okay, we have a component called string operations. I think that I already installed it, and yes, we have it here. This is one of the popular and very easy to use action components. Okay, if I drag and drop it here on the Canva, on the designer, I can right click here. Yes, there are some colors here. Okay, I'll make a video after to talk about connections. Okay, how the connection work, how you can change the action, the colors of some connections, or maybe not. I'm not going to have a special video for it. When we are going to make some special flows for as examples of how to use total.js in some use cases, maybe I'm going to cover how to handle the colors of our connections. Okay, you can right click and remove it like that. We connect it to this and we connect it to the output. Okay, I can save. As you can see, the string operations is a component that is going to transform our string. Okay, if I double click on this component, I will see the action we can do. Okay, like a string that you have in the output, we can capitalize it you can put it in lowercase, you can put it in uppercase, you can transform it into slug, or remove the diacritic characters and or reverse it. There are some basic string operations that we can have on this kind of components. Okay, let us select lowercase for example and click on apply. From now we can click on run, and yes, we have the message in and the message out. For now we cannot see the difference, okay, because we don't have a custom string here. If we uncheck the random data here, we are able now to put our own custom string. Okay, let us see hello world. Okay, and click on apply. If I now click on run, we have a message here. Okay, let me drag and drop another output so that you see the data in and compare it to the data out, the string in and the string out. If I run here, you see hello world is with some capital letters, but here it transforms it. As you can easily understand, it means that these kind of actions, okay, action components, try to transform the message on the flow flow stream. You can have a message that is going to be transformed over and over thanks to some action components. Most of the time the output components can have some lead actions before they output it, but this is another video that I'm going to cover. It means the next video. Okay, let me show you some other components, action components. There are lots of there are many action components. For example, if I say you have so many, I don't know which one I can take. For example, generate code OTP, confirmation code or OTP. Well, I am going to test with confirmation code. Okay, this kind of components are able to generate some code, like someone wants to subscribe to sign up in your website. You send a confirmation code in his website or via SMS. This is what it does. The main thing that makes the components, the action components, outstanding is the connection in and the connection out. Okay, keep it in mind. If you have a component that have connection in and connection out, it means at least that it is action component. It can be action component. So this is the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video about the output components. Hi everyone, welcome to this video about Total.js flow again. We still talking about components, and this time we are dealing with output components. Okay, in the last video I showed you how the action components work. Okay, I saw you how in a production line an action component, what it can do, and now we are covering output components. As its name can let you know it already. You can think about output components as something that lets us see the results of the process, of the flow process. Okay, it is the end result of one flow. It may not be the final result, because we create a program with lots of flows. Sometimes it is lots of flows and lots of system, but as we are going to see in the coming videos also, that you can export an entire flow as a component. Okay, so we think of output components as something that can let you see the results of a certain at a certain point of the flow. Okay, let me get into the browser. Okay, last time we were showing how the string operation component can take in a string like that and transform it. As I said, this component print is the most commonly used uh, component to output things, because before we put something in production you have to test it, and most of the time we spend lots of time in this designer trying to wire things and see how it works, make sure that everything is working properly, and we think this component called print for helping us see what is happening in the flow, because the processor, the computer, is manipulating things that we cannot see, but thanks to this component, this output component, we are able to see how it works. Alright, we don't have only this component as output component. We have many components that can be considered as output components. For example, if we are building an API, you may have a component, output component called response, that is able to respond to any message, any request that you send in the flow. What am I doing? I'm trying to download a new component called response, for example. Okay, let me show you the response component. If you scroll down, you can see there is REST API response, and we have also HTTP response. These components are able to respond to any request that we have in the flow. Of course, if the request is not destroyed or doesn't have a problem across the flow, we are able to respond to this, and this component can also be considered as output component. One of the feature of this output component is that they have only one connection. It is the input. Usually we don't see an output. It means that in this component, the message which is created during the triggering, this component is destroyed. At least maybe you can have some garbage collector or something like this, but most of the time there is auto destroy for component for messages that are produced from here. So these kind of components are very useful, and let me try to show you some other components, output components. This video is very targeted to beginners, so if you already feel very comfortable with Total.js flow, you may not need to watch this video. You can jump on the next videos. Maybe the examples that I will be taking in the next videos will interest you more than this one, but I try to spend lots of time on these type of components so that you get started very easily with Total.js flow. Yes, because it can be very confusing, it can look very difficult, but it is easy like that. It is as easy like that. Let us see this kind of components. This is a logger component and SMS component. These components are also output components. Output components doesn't mean the end of the process of your application. It just means that the message that you created in the beginning of the flow is getting destroyed at the end, after a certain getting displayed for output or destroyed. Okay, after usage. It just means that the end of the life cycle of the message. Okay, because there is some kind of life cycle. Whenever you create a message, flow message, you you send it across the components, and at the last components it is the last, okay, it is the last days of your message. Okay, these two components are responsible of logging messages. Like sometimes you are in surveillance of your system, you may need to log, okay, the messages that is happening. This is using Total.js flow API service. So it requires that you purchase and have a token before you use it. But what I want to let you know is that this is not a demonstration of how SMS or logo work, but just to show you some examples of output components. Okay, as you can see, it is very interesting. It is the last. Maybe I can right click and click on edit so that you can see what is happening in a trigger component. Okay, what is sure is that the trigger component is very interesting, because this is going to create a new message on the flow. The trigger components is just doing something like that. Maybe don't be afraid of this lots of codes. You will understand as we are getting deep in this series of videos. Okay, and as you can see, we have output components. Everything is okay. I think I have to cut here, to stop here for this video. We are going to see another type of component, special component that can be useful. It is the code component. Code component, this is something that can help you create your own components. Okay, so let us see in the next video. Thank you. Hi guys, welcome to this video of Total.js flow. We are still talking about components. Yes, about components again, and this time we are talking about a special component called the code component. Yes, I wanted to introduce you on how to create your custom components, how to create your own components, because you already have existing components on the Total.js flow interface, but this is not enough. You still need to have a touch of your own code, your own implementation of things. Okay, this is very interesting to learn about the code component, because at the early days, my early days with Total.js flow, I had some difficulties. I was afraid of all the. Let me show you something. Okay, these components you see here are some boxes, black boxes. It is hiding things. There is some kind of mystery for me inside of each box. Okay, these components was too scary to me, because not only, even if I had a very strong understanding of JavaScript, inside, if I right click and start to edit, you see that there are some, okay, there are some standards inside of it. Okay, I'm not going to cover them right now, but as you can see, there can be a very long script like that inside of the box that you may not understand how it works. Okay, so but I wanted to create some custom code, so I got quickly attached to one component called code component. Let me show it to you. But first, before I show you this component, at least I'm going to download it. Okay, if I write code here, scroll up, you see the code component. It is one of the common components that we use daily in the Total.js flow interface. Here is the component, how it works. Let me draw something here to show you. No, I was not trying to show you this. Okay, let me close this. Okay, maybe I can try to open a new I can open a new designer. Voila. Okay, the code component is something like the eval. Okay, the eval, the eval function of JavaScript. Okay, that function is a function that can take a string of code and evaluate it in the processor or something like the interpreter of JavaScript. And this is important to understand about the code component. The code component is going to give you a form input inside of which you write down a JavaScript code that will be easily compiled and evaluated by the interpreter. This is the the basic concept of the code component. Right, let us open this component and start testing it. Okay, like every component, if you right click, you will be able to see the configuration and output of this component. Okay, as you can see, this component is very customizable. You are able to select the number of outputs you want this component to have. Okay, by default it has one output here. Okay, but you can right click and add as many outputs as you want, and as you can see, you have many outputs here. Okay, and in addition, you have this flow multi-line input that is going to help you write your own code inside of it. By default, the code does nothing but destroying the incoming message. Okay, what does it mean? If I close this and drag and drop a component like trigger, because we already use this kind of trigger to put a message on the flow, like as always, I drag and drop this component called print. I click on apply, and we're going to test it step by step to understand how we can use this component to make some custom implementations in the flow. Okay, before I cover how to create your own and specific component, and also how to create a component and publish it for the community. This is also easy, and we are going to cover it in the next video. But this component, if you click here, okay, you generate a message, but you don't see output here. Why? Because we have this function, okay, this dollar, okay, variable. It is an instance of the flow stream message. As you can see, a message that comes out from the trigger and gets into the component is the flow stream message instance. That instance has a method called destroy that is able to destroy the message. It means to give an end to the life of this flow stream message. Okay, this is the one thing you have to understand about it. So if I comment it out, okay, and save, you will see that we are not destroying it anymore, but at least we do not see a message in the output. Why? Because we haven't said what we want to output. So let me for now I am going to keep this number of output to 1. Okay, if I save, we have 1 output, and I get back inside. What I have to do is to send a message into the output. How I do that? We already have a code commented out here that is doing it. It is the method send. Okay, the send is going to take the first parameter, which is the output name, and the second parameter is the payload that you want to send to the output. Okay, let me take it apart. Take it to the live. Okay, let me comment it and write everything here. It is $send, and we put the output name. By default we have output like that, okay, and we can put a space and decide to put a message in the output. Like I can say value is going to be new message, like as a payload to the next component. Okay, if I click on run, as you can see, we have the output of this message here. Wow, that is why I say that the code component is a very friendly for you to start as quick as possible creating your own code, your own components in it. And what is special again about this component is because you can have as many outputs as you want, and in this component also you have already some existing, like this is going to destroy a message, this is going to hold the data from the input. Like what if I wanted to take the data in and send it out? Okay, I can do that here, like putting data is equal to data, because in the scope of this component we have this variable called data, which is nothing but the payload from the input of the component, the code component. If I do that, I will be able to send to the output the message I had received here. Like I do that, I click again and we test. Okay, this is the random string generated by our trigger component. If you want to make sure that this is the message we receive from the trigger component, we can simply put a custom message, like I say custom message, like that, and I click on save. If I click on run again, it is going to output it till here, because in that code component you are able to take the data like that and send it back to the output. Of course, if the data in was a for example an object, you are able to do lots of things in JavaScript with it. Like imagine if your data in is an object with some comments. Let me see, I can make a switch case like that, switch, okay, and say data.cmd. okay, yeah, imagine that we have a cmd comment like that is going to be evaluated. Let me say the case is, for example, new user. Okay, so I can decide that if it is new user, I'm going to send a message to output 1. Okay, let us send the message to output 1, and yes, as it is something like that, and then case it is a new product. Okay, this is also nice to see. We can send it, for example, let me use okay, I can send it to output 2, for example. Okay, let me send the data or the word payload and a break again. Okay, it means that in this code component you can make some control flows and do whatever you want. And don't forget to click here to add the number of components of outputs instead. Okay, and also, how do I know that the second output name is output 2? It is because if you click here, you can read on the go the output, the readme of the component. Yes, it says that this component executes a custom JavaScript code. Okay, like I said. Alright, meaning that the output number is X here. Okay, if you say output X, like output 2, output 3, output 4, you are able to send some data in a specific output of this component. Amazing, right? Okay, and this is not finished. In that code component also, you can use many other functions. Read, for example, var components, variable. Okay, I saw you that in the previous videos that you are able to read some global variables. If not yet, maybe I forgot, I will make another video about variables. So we can read things about repositories and also instance. Such things are very important sometimes. And don't forget, we are using Total.js, right? Total.js is the most incredible framework in the world. Yes, I know what I am saying. I mean what I say, because you will leverage the power, okay, the great power of Total.js in this kind of components, code component. Like if you go to the documentation, you will have lots of things. Like even if it is only the prototypes, okay, that Total.js is giving to you, it is already enough, okay, but it is not the prototype only. Total.js 4 is here, okay. You are able to create such things like API routing, do such things like that, localization, view engine. You can do whatever, okay. Like also in the globals, if you go to globals, you will have some useful functions, actions that you can declare in such a code component, and it is going to work very well. Also, you can have some utils, okay. In utils you have some functions also you can use, like joining some paths, doing some listing some directories, minifying some CSS, HTML, JavaScript, lots of generating random numbers, streaming some data, and many things. Okay, I cannot count the number of possibilities we can do in such a code component thanks to Total.js flow. Okay, in the next videos I'm going to cover more specific customization level things about Total.js flow, but for now I stick to this. The code we created here, I'm not going anywhere before we test it, so that you convince yourself that it is working and it is one of your choices to customize things in Total.js flow. Let me click on apply. Okay, after I click on apply, I can send a message from here, and as you can see, this is a surprising thing. There is not a output, because the input message is not the message that is expecting in the control flow. Okay, let me first of all add another output component called print, so that we can control things from the input. Like here we need, according to our flow component, we need an object. If I click here, I select object, and then I can start creating an object inside of this, and in this object I can say cmd and give a value to it. If I say whatever, if I write whatever like that, and apply, if I send, as you can see, nothing happens. Okay, because according to our control flow, we need some cases like that, like new user or product, new product. If it is a new product which is created, because as I said, Total.js flow is very good at extending your applications. Okay, maybe you want to do some task when a new user is registered in your application, or a new product is in your application. That is why I created a simple workflow for it. Okay, if I get back to this component and change this to something like new user, okay, I save. If I click here, boom, the message is going out to this component. If I change it to, for example, new product, I can click on save. Okay, if I click, boom, Okay, maybe there is a problem. Maybe new product, case new product is going to send. Oh, the problem is that it is the name of the output. It is not input but output. There is a spelling problem here. Okay, if I save and run it again, yes, you have the message which is coming here, and you can do such thing over and over, as many outputs as you want. You can then easily duplicate, okay, like clone, and make another flow like that, and customize and do some actions like that over and over in your workflow. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was a demonstration and an introduction to the code component, okay, with the examples I'm going to do. The most simple examples will be taken with the code component until we are already feeling comfortable enough to create our own components. Stay tuned, like my videos, subscribe, and don't forget to share with lots of people. Okay, like, comment, don't forget to like. This is giving more power to my channel to keep producing and doing such amazing tutorials for you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is louisbertson. Welcome to this video about Total.js flow components. Yes, flow components. This video is going to cover the most important and the most interesting part of Total.js flow: how to create custom components. It is very interesting. Yes, because once you get to the point of creating your own custom components, yes, you are winning the powerful part of Total.js flow. Because what makes Total.js flow very interesting is that it is really customizable. Okay, the way you can customize it is very interesting, because it becomes limitless. So today I would like to show you, to take you step by step into how to create your own custom components, okay, within the Total.js application, Total.js flow application. What we have here is that yes, as you can see, we still have our application running on port 8000. If you are new into this video, please refer to the video about how to install Total.js flow in your machine, and then you can skip into this video and watch how to create your own components. So now let's get started. We had our three flows still running here. I haven't paused them, but as you know, you can pause them. Yes, it is possible to pause them, and we have to focus now on this flow called components, because since a very long, since 4 videos ago, we are talking about components only. Okay, it's because, like I said, it is the foundation of everything in this Total.js, in flow programming in general, and especially Total.js flow. Okay, as we can see, how flows are composed with lots of components like that. Okay, it is made up of components that you try to connect to each other in order to create your workflow. Okay, this is interesting, but how do we manage to create some components? Because every component is like a black box with some mysterious things called inside, that makes it possible to have some data out or data in, some processing, and this is very interesting. So what I will be doing is just right click here and try to edit, because like as you can see, everything is open source. Okay, so what I suggest is that whatever is the case, you need to sometimes overcome your fears and try to open these kind of components and look into how they have made, because it is open source. Every component that you see here, you can just right click and click on edit, and you can see the source code inside. Okay, I am going to give you the basics of how to create components, but if you want to be very good at coding and building your own components, you will need to edit them. Of course, after that, I will teach you how to publish the components that you will be creating, because it is very as easy like that. But we are going to take an example at the end of this videos. Once we create a very interesting and complete component, we can click on publish so that the community can see it, because that's how it works. All the components you see here are created by some community members. Okay, so let's get started again. Okay, to create a component, it is easy. You can click on this plus button. It is a green plus button. If you click on this, you will see download components, add some TMS sources, but the first item of the menu is create component. You can click on it and boom. At first it tries to give you a template on which you can base to create easily your component. Isn't it very interesting that you are able to start from already existing component declarations, so that you make it easy, make sure you don't forget anything. Okay, it means that if you are brave enough, you can even start building and create your components without having some kind, expecting a guide like what I'm doing like right now. Well, the most important thing in this kind of components is what it is, this tag. Okay, it is some kind of HTML declarative components. Okay, you create a script tag and you precise total. The total means it is going to be server side. Okay, it is a server side script. This script that you are going to put inside of this script is going to be evaluated by the server side, by nodejs, because when you take a flow like that, let me open another flow so you see. You have the client side, this is server side, this in the browser, as you can see. Even on what you see here, that part like that is in the browser. Okay, if you open the settings also, this is happening in the browser again. Okay, also if you right click and click on readme, this is also in the browser, but some parts of what you will declare here will be evaluated by the server side, and this is that part of script, and you need to precise. It is very important to precisely say total. Okay, meaning that it will be evaluated by the Total.js framework from the server side. Okay, and then you start describing how your component is going to look like. At first you say what is the name of your component. Take an example. Let me say something here. What am I going to call it? I will call it uppercase. Okay, I'm going to call my component uppercase because this is an example that came into my mind at first, and it concerns the strings, right? So I am going to right click here. It is very important. If you right click, you will see that you can add some icons here. Let me say string. If I can have something that deal with we don't have something about string here. Let me say code like that. You can take this one. Alright, and this is Total.js as author. This is by default, but you can put your own name. Let me say, for example, Total.js. Okay, you can keep it like that. The version is 1. You can have multiple versions of your component. It is okay too, but the group is common. I'm not going to put it in common. I will create another group that I will call custom. this is to in order to group your components here, because as you can see, this is the common group and the triggers group. Okay, you can have a group of custom components. This is, it can be also interesting. And you have this for specifying your fields for configuring your component. Like here, if I right click here, double click instead, if I double click like that, you will see some config paths. Okay, like you can select this the data type. Okay, this is also possible here by this config declaration to precise what you expect for the user in order to customize the behavior of your components. Like here I can say like type, like I want to put something in uppercase. It is no need for me to have them, but with the time I'm going to make use of this component config path so that you see. After that, you see the input and the output. This is interesting. You can have as many inputs as you want and as many outputs as you want to. Also, I will keep one output and one input, no problem. Here, this is something more special. Okay, I'm going to remove them because I don't need them. Okay, here, this you can keep them as reference if you want to remind yourself about something, but we don't need it too. But we need this one because instance dot message is what. Let me make a comment. This is very important because at first, before I continue, I have to explain you what this is. This part does. This export.make is going to be executed when the component is created. Okay, so let me write it down. When the component is created, okay, this is going to declare the behavior of the components like script. Okay, and here we need to specify what the component will do when a new message arrives in the input. That is why we say instance.message. Okay, in that part it is to explain, it is related to this one. Okay, if a new message is coming from another component, okay, this code here will be executed. Okay, like it is an event handler. Like I can say that this is an handler when a new message is coming. And in the next videos I will show you how to make more complex components with multiple inputs, and you will see how it works. And here you will need to execute something when someone is saving the settings, because sometimes if you are declaring some configs here, like some inputs here, well, this is when, for example, I open up this part and I try to save, like I can start to save. If I save here, what is going to execute is configure. Okay, this handler is when the setting has changed. Let me precisely say it. Handler when settings is updated or changed. Okay, this is very important too, but this is in case you have a special configuration here, but this time we are not using any configuration. Now we have also these parts, but I'm not going to make them right now. At first you can execute the configure. It means you can't try to take some, because for example you can have some default values in the config. So at first when the component is creating, you can start at once, okay, immediately executing this part in order to take and create a new instance of your the default instance of your component. Okay, let me keep it simple like that. This is the readme. Okay, I can say that this is a component. This component can put a string to uppercase. Okay, and I remove all this. This is markdown, and you can define whatever you want. You can even put some images, whatever. Okay, some links to external websites. And here here we have the settings. We don't need settings, so we can remove it. Here we have the style. This is the style for the body here. Okay, we have body to define. The body is the definition of this visual part. Okay, like here you can decide to have a button. You can even decide to have some image, to output some images here, whatever you want. Okay, when I click on this, for example, it is posed, so we are not going to see any message. But if I remove the pose and click here, you will see this part, how it looks like, can be defined by this tag called style. Okay, keep it in mind, we don't need it, so we remove it because we're not going to have any footer. This script is a client-side script. For now, in this video, I'm not going to deal with it. We are going to remove it. It's not necessary for now, but in the coming videos, I'll take an example where you will need to use it. And here, we don't need any footer. I can remove it and let it like that. Most important, this is where you say you display your component icon and your component name. It is very interesting because here you declare the component, right? If you can take the declaration of the value of the component icon here and put it here, no problem, it will work. If you say name like that or icon like that in capital letter like that, it means that it is going to read the value from here. So what is going to happen is what we are going to have the icon and the name of the component in this body, especially the head of this body. I hope that now it is clear. Now we have a very simple structure of our component that we can start now to customize. Okay, when a new message is arriving in this component via this input, for example, this message instance.message function is going to be executed, and this is the handler, as I said. Let me remove this. Yes, they put it in comment because this is, well, if for example you want to destroy at the message here in this component, you can execute $.destroy. Okay, the dollar comes from where? It comes from here, because this is the message instance that is called dollar here. Okay, then the incoming message can be destroyed with $.destroy. The incoming message can be sent into next, okay, as a method to send this message next to the following component, like in the output, because the output ID is here, as you can see. Okay, you can send it to the output. If for example you had two outputs, let me create another output. For example, like either is going to be error. The output that outputs the error, and the name is going to be error. Nice. If you have this part like that, what you can do is try to choose conditionally what message to output to where, to what output, depending on the ID. It's so easy like that. And most important, if we have an incoming message, the incoming message can have some payload. Okay, the payload can be read from that data, and this is very important because this is where we are going to read the string that we need to put to uppercase. Okay, so once we have this, we can quickly take this data and put to uppercase. like that. Okay, it means that the new message is coming here, and you put that message and you put onto uppercase and send it to the output. But I have created a error output. It means that I can, for example, handle some errors in case, for example, the incoming data is not a string. For example, yes, this is possible. Like I can say if type of type of data. Now let us make it simple, because most of the time we use strings to create the flows like that. So I'm going to make it the verification very simpler. Like I can say if data not existing, for example, we have an empty string, what you have to do is to send it to error output, like send a error message. How I can do that, I can just say $.send, not output now but error. Okay, and I put an error message like that. I can say invalid valid input expected a string. This is very important, and most important, we have to return to not continue with this part. Okay, we want to exit the function. So it is so simple like that. Okay, I can decide now to save this component so that we see how it works. Yes, this is the group that is created. It is called component, and the function uppercase is here. If we drag and drop in here, we can start using it. Let me try to trigger some string and give it to it, and as we need to output the message, we need it. Okay, I can connect them together and save. Firstly, if I try to open up the settings by double click, it will say settings not available, because yes, in our component we didn't declare the settings, but we removed it, and that's normal. Okay, something else is that we have these two components, two outputs, and if I right click here, as you can see, everything is put to uppercase, and that's very important to understand. If I double click on this and try to send something like a number, it is going to work. Let me say 8, for example. Yes, as you can see, we have data to uppercase is not a function, because number cannot be put into uppercase. And this is something we are going to handle in the next video, how to fix this problem and try to continue with some complex things about creating components. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one, where we try to give some more and more complicated use cases and cases of components to build and customize your workflows in Total.js Flow. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like my video. Comment if something is not clear. Comment below. Ask some questions, and I'm watching my comments. Okay, my comments part. I watch everything. I will reply to every message that you will send. Thank you for watching, and see you next. What's up, guys? Welcome to this new videos about the Total.js Flow components. Yes, we are still learning the Flow components, because it's the foundation of everything in Flow components, in Flow programming. In this video, I'm going to dive deeper into how to create custom components In the last video, what we did was this component, the uppercase component. It was very nice, very good. We had an issue, and let me try to raise the last issue we had, try to fix it if possible, and we continue with another component with more advanced features. Okay, and step by step we are going to make it happen. We are going to be very good in creating very complex components to cover and to meet the requirements of any project you want to do with Total.js Flow. Okay, this component was like this. It is uppercase. It means it takes a string in the input and outputs this string into uppercase, the uppercase. So let me try. As I said, if you try to double click on it, we don't have some settings for these components. We are going, in this video we are going to add some settings, how to add settings into a components. But let me test it out. If we click here, we have a message, error message here, invalid input, expected a string. Alright, let me see what is not good here. It means that the trigger sent an invalid output. We see here we have a string, but here we said it is number. Let us put it now into string and save. If we try to run, we have a good result now. Everything is now into uppercase. Well, but what if we try to put something like a number? Let me say a number like this and send it. Oh, it says that data.uppercase is not a function. What does it mean really? It means that we are not checking before we apply the method, and this is very dangerous. This is not a secure code. So what we are going to do is to fix it before we continue. Here, last time we saw how to create a component. It is a declarative form. We declare whatever you want, the behavior and metadata of the component. Metadata are name, icon, author, version, group, config, okay, input, outputs, and also we have export.make, which can define the behavior, functional behavior of your component. Okay, and in this message handler, we try to verify if there is any message in. If there is no any message in, we try to say expected a string. But this is not enough, because if we don't verify if it is a string, we are going to put, for example, to call the two uppercase function into a number, for example, and have an error like we saw right now. So what I need to do is check if the data, the string we have in the input, is exactly a string. If not a string, we raise an error and we exit the function. So how we do that? I can say if like that. If type of, okay, because we want to check the type of the data and is different from a string. Okay, if it is different from string, what we need to do is to send a message, error message. Okay, and we send it into error output. The message is going to be something like invalid output. Input must be a string. Okay, let's say input must be a string. Very simply like that. Okay, and I return. If I say that, it means that I try to exit the function. It is not going to continue and send it or call this function, which is going to wait and stop and block our code. So I think that it is okay. Let us start to save and test it out. We keep the 8 and number, so to challenge our component, and we send. As you can see, it writes here input must be a string. Now we have a secure code, but now what is the problem? Maybe we need also to put a string into lowercase, or transform a string into something like a slug, or capitalize a string, or whatever, okay, or remove some diacritics characters in the string. How we do that? Okay, we don't have to create a component for each method we want to do. So we can imagine a component that we can customize. We have a setting to choose the string operation or the string method we want to apply on the string. So we are going to enhance to update this component, or maybe we create a new component which gives which we are going to give the capability to choose new methods, different methods, depending on the case. Okay, so let us try to edit this component. No, I try to copy it. I copy everything. Okay, and I try to create a new component. As usual, we're going to meet this template. Okay, but we don't need it, so I'm going to replace everything so that we continue with new component, with the last component. How we do that? First, we need to add a variable that is going to allow people to select the user to select the type of method or string method he wants to apply on the string. So I am going to say method, and we give a default value. Okay, default value can be like lowercase, like lower, like that. Okay, make it simple. And yes, we try to check this method and switch it according to the value of the method. We try to apply the corresponding string method. How we do that? I'm going to put a switch case. Okay, let me remind you that whenever you try to create a function like that, a component, we have export.make, which is giving us the instance of the component, but not only the instance of the component, but also the config. It means a copy of that what we specify here. Okay, what we specify here can also be updated, and we're going to see it in this video too. It can be updated because what we see here is just a default value of our configuration. These default values will be copied whenever we try to submit the component. Okay, so what we do is make a switch from the config config.method. Okay, and we have the case lower, which is going to will consist of sending into the output the data dot to lowercase. I know that I hope that you know all these things about JavaScript, because maybe some of you may not know what it means, but if you can Google it or use ChatGPT, you can understand what I'm doing. Okay, you can send the output like that, and don't forget to break it. Okay, and let us try to do same thing here. We don't want to waste time typing too much. Okay, if the method is upper, then we try to put to uppercase. Okay, we do same for slug. If the user chooses slug, for example, we are going to send, okay, Yes, of course, we may not, if you are new to Total.js, you will be surprised that we call this function here because JavaScript doesn't have a method called slug like that. This is part of the Total.js prototype, because what I said in the last video in the code component is that we have a very powerful toolkit from the Total.js. Okay, if you go to the documentation, okay, sorry, I have a very poor phone internet connection, but it is going to be alright. If you go to totaljs 4 and scroll down into prototypes, okay, we have prototypes for request, for response, and we have some for string. Okay, it is some kind of a way to extend the capabilities of the string object of JavaScript. So if you scroll down, you will see a slug function here. Okay, the slug function, it is able to generate a slug from any string. That is why I can allow myself to call it here without any problem. But if you are using another library like Express, make sure that you extend or you use your own function to generate the slug. And what else? Let me say media. Okay, or search. Okay, because there are a special formatting for search strings, and Total.js also they can have this here. It is called to search. Okay, the to search function is able to take any string and replace the spaces, replace everything until we have a searchable string. Okay, let us put something like to search here. Make it simple. This way, if I save my component, we have a component, new component here. But sorry, I forgot to update the name of the function. How do I know which function? Okay, this is the new function we created. I'm going to call it string methods. Okay, yes, now we see a new function here called string methods. Okay, you can call your function whatever you want. I didn't want to call it string operation because we already have string operation component here. Okay, but it is not enough. Normally I should be able to double click on it and open up a settings panel and select the string operation I want to apply, but I don't have it for now. How I do that? Okay, let me right click and click on edit again. We are going to add it after the readme tag. It can be before this. It doesn't make sense to it doesn't matter if you put it before or after the readme tag. Okay, let me say settings. Yes, it is settings, and what I need to do here is put some HTML input components, where how we define the components or the design of the input form we need in the settings panel. How we do that? We need to think of a library called componentator. Okay, componentator, I'm going to make a special video series, okay, to explain how it works, but what we need is just some inputs. Okay, so if we type input here, we see many types of inputs. We'll be interested in input, okay, in this component. This is what we need. We need something like here. We click and we select a string operation, or here we select something like that. How we do that? We can copy something here like this part. Okay, can copy it and get back here and put it here. Nice. And we start modifying things in order to read the default value from the config here, because these settings we want to connect it to the component config, okay, so that we can update the value of the method here, and from the method we apply the corresponding method. Interesting, right? How we do that? I have to put something like that, okay, question mark dot method. Okay, this is the path of the component. It means that the value of the component will be read from this path. Read write also, because the component is also to write things like that. It is something like the data binding of Angular or React, whatever. Okay, now the component name is input. The placeholder is just choose a method. We are not going to call it a framework. Choose a method. Okay, and the div source, it means the selectable list. Okay, how we do that? We are going to put some key values directly here, because we don't have them too much. We need upper to write. Let me say upper, and this character is going to be upper case. Okay, and I put a comma like that. This is a comma separated list, so I need to put lower, because we still have lower, but we need to make it possible to. Okay, and what is next? It is log, right? It is key value. Okay, when we do that, this list, this kind of list, it is key value, because the browser is going to Total.js UI library is going to pass it into key value. That's how we do it here. So this is the value, and lastly what we need to do is the search. If you feel that I'm too slow, you can speed up the video and watch it better. And this is the label of our input. I think that for now, if we save, it is okay. It is just like that we need. Okay, if we double click on it, now you can see this, and it is nice. We have our input and everything here. Nice, but it doesn't look good, right? Let me try to put it in some kind of paddings. If I edit it and get back to this part, I can say put the div like this. Okay, because if you don't have some paddings, it's not going to look like nice. Okay, yes, now we have the padding, but at least it is too wide. Okay, we don't want it to take the entire width of the panel. Maybe we want it to take half the width of the panel. How we do that? We can easily make it happen. This is something like the bootstrap reading, but differently. Okay, how I do that? I can say, for example, put a grid to here. Okay, it means it is going to have 2 columns for our panel. Okay, I can cut and paste it here. Okay, have a good formatting so that the code can look nice. Now if I right click, you see that we have one element, and the width of the element is just half the. Okay, now if we want to output is any slug, we click on slug like that and we apply. Let us try to test it if it is going to work. If I clone it like that, we right click and remove the connection, we create a new connection to the new component, we save. We need something to print it, right? So we drag and drop two print components. Let us make it quick, okay? And I click to test it. Okay, input must be a string. Okay, let me rectify things here. If I get back to string and put a custom message like hello world, I save and click. As you can see, we have everything into uppercase. So why it puts it in uppercase while I have chosen slow? It means there is something not working fine here that I need to, yes, I should remove this. Okay, let me remove this. It should work now. If I click on run, yes, it puts everything into slug like that. If I want to format it for string, for section, I can click on run and you will see it works like that. Okay, like for example, the double L is going to be 1L. Okay, if I choose something like lowercase, it works too. Nice, right? So thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much. In the next video, I'm going to get deeper into more complex components so that we step by step learn how to create our own components, and most important, contribute by publishing them to the community and everything. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey guys, welcome to this new video about Total.js flow components. We still continue with Total.js flow components, the custom components videos, and the last video we tried to add some options and configuration capabilities to these components. Like here, if we double click on it, we are not able, for example, to customize and output the settings panels, right? In this component we add it. Okay, we were able now to select a different method, which makes it very interesting, but it is not enough. It is not enough because imagine we have lots of components. Okay, this component, we clone it like that. How do we know that here we are using lowercase and here we are using, for example, search? Okay, how can we do that? Okay, because when I save, I cannot know which component is using which other component. We need to visually see it here that this component is doing, and the state of the configuration is that. Okay, I can put something like in the footer so that we have this information. How do we do that? Welcome to this video. We are now trying to discover a new feature of Total.js flow components called instance.status. Okay, to have a status of the actual state of the component. Okay, how do we handle it? Okay, I'm going to remove this one. Okay, it is not necessary to have it cloned for now. I can delete, clear the components so we have more spaces, and what we are going to do is to update this one. We are not going to create a new component.
17 hours.
We can just edit and update it. Okay, and how we do that, we need to save the function and be able to update. When we save the function, we want to update the status and be able to see it in the footer. How we can do that? Okay, now what we need to do is to update the status by using instance dot status, because this is the function that we can use to do that. Method is going to be config dot method, okay, because anytime we update it, it is going to update it too. But by default, how are we going to handle it? We need to put a default failure to our handler, right? So what I am going to do, yes, I can let it like that, because by default we are going to call this one, so there is no problem. We'll have the default failure, so it is okay. Yes, but this is not enough. This is not enough. This is, we try to update the status, but we are not displaying it in the bottom yet. Okay, sorry for my English, not very good, but okay. Let me add a footer here. In the footer, I will try to put a span. Oh, sorry, a span, and this span is going to output our video. I don't even know how I'm going to handle that, because we have a new declaration of Total.js flow that specifies that. Okay, let me just put something bold here to put the title in bold. Okay, let me say method, and yes, something like that, and we are going to put a data bind here. This is a way for us to read the value of status. Okay, yes, it is possible to read the value from any variable of the server side, like what we have here. It is the icon and name. Icon and name are read from this here, but how do we read this status object? Okay, we need to make some kind of data binding. I will do it like that, and try to go to documentation to show you where I find how to find documentation to read more about this stuff. Okay, and this data binding, I need to put a path, and the path is going to be something like status. This is will be nothing but status, okay, and dot method. It is as simple like as this. I am sorry, okay, but it is not enough. We want to output some text, right? So we need to add some config like that, and say, input a comment that what we are going to read here is going to be a text. How we do that? Just put text here. Okay, we can say value. Okay, let me I will keep it like that, so that we are going to see. Yes, as you can see, we have something like method. It is set. If we change, okay, the method to lower, we'll see we are able now to read the value of it, but it doesn't look nice, right? Let me edit it and put some style to it. Okay, we need to get our footer and give some styling to it. How we do that is easy. We can add a new tag called style. Okay, it is, I don't have auto completion. Okay, and here I need to say footer is going to, what I need to do is just give some padding. Okay, I don't want to give padding, is going to be 5 pixel and 8 pixel, alright, something like that. And as you can see, we have everything aligned like that. but maybe we need this method to be in blue, for example. So what I need to do here, okay, I need to footer span B, and it is going to be color blue. Okay, and I think that now it's going to look very nice. Yes, you can change the color as you want. And what other thing is that I want to format this one into capitalize. Okay, how I can do that? If you go to Total.js framework, you can have the prototype for it, like we have this prototype capitalize. Okay, that is able to put the first character of a string to capital letter. This is what I'm going to do. How I do that? Yes, I'm showing it to you from the wrong one. Okay, I'm showing it to you from the wrong documentation. This is the server side, but what we are doing here specifically is client side. So we need to get to the Total.js client side documentation. If I click here, okay, UI components, and go to string, there is string here, and I guess that we have the same capitalize. We don't have it in the documentation, but let me try. If it is not working, I'm going to change it. I'm not sure it is going to work, but how I even do that is that here I get to the component and put something like value dot capitalize. Okay, let me hope that it is going to work. Yes, it is not working. It is not working because this string is not a server side string. But this is not a problem to me. I can put everything into uppercase. Okay, this is going to work too. To uppercase. If I save, as you can see, everything is okay now. Nice. So what we did is that we use our instance dot status to update everything we see here. Okay, now we know what is happening behind. Okay, we don't have to open the panel to know what method is selected for this component and what is selected for the other component. For example, here I try to create a new instance. If I save, okay, you see that it is going to copy thing like that. But if I want, I can double click and put it to slug. It is a different one. Okay, and I know from this view that the component method is slug or search. Thank you for watching this video. It is the purpose of this video. I wanted to show you how to make use of the slug, the status, and update the visual part of the component. Okay, this is real-time update. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Ciao. In today's video, I would like to show you how to wrap any npm package into Total.js Flow component. It's very easy. I have received many questions about how do I install npm package to create a Total.js Flow component. I have received it, and I was saying that the video is coming, but today I decided to make this video to show you how to do that. We're going step by step. When it comes to wrap any component into Total.js Flow component, it depends a lot. It depends a lot on the features you need, and also the way the npm package also is made. So I am going to make many videos, but in today's videos I will take a very simple example so that you see how it works. In other videos I will try to add some more complexity in the example, but for now I'm staying on something very basic. And the npm package I would like to wrap into a total.js flow component is Shokida. Okay, maybe some of you already know about Shokida npm. I will take you to that npm package so that you see how it works. Okay, I hope you can read very well on my screen. Shokida is a npm package that is able, it uses nodejs fs.watch to watch any change on a directory or any change on a file. Okay, this example is going to be very easy. Like what we need is to install it, this dependency automatically by total.js flow, and also create an instance of that package, and create also a watcher. Okay, this is the simple thing we need to do. And what I will be doing is that I will watch everything. Okay, we can't choose a specific thing to watch on a directory, but what I need in this example is going to be to watch. Okay, we are going to implement what I have selected here, and it is very easy. Let me show you how it works. So first of all, we need to start creating our new component. Okay, I click here and I click on create a component. I will rename it to watch file. Okay, and here the name of the icon of the let me see if I will find a nice icon for it. File. Okay, I will take it like that because it's going to watch a new file in a directory and output the path of this file into the output of the component. This is what I'm planning to do. I will let it like that in the common, and here for now I'm not going to put any config. Okay, but with the time, or with the after I make a very simple example, we're going to add config, like the path to watch. Okay, the output, we need output, but we don't need any input, so I remove this part. And how do I import the Shokida? Okay, because we need to install npm install Shokida. We are not going to do it manually. We can tell our component, tell total.js flow to install it for us. And how we do that, it is very simple. We just have to add this declaration npm export.npm and put the package name. It is very simple, very easy. Okay, I copy this here and I paste this here. Okay, and it is done. We don't need anything else. All right, and from here I have to delete all the stuff. On close. Okay, I will keep on close because it can be very interesting. On close is what, when the component is unregistered. Okay, when we are the component is deleted, for example from the Canva, the designer, this on close is going to be executed, and I am planning to register to close the watcher whenever the component is destroyed. Okay, so here I have to okay, this component can watch any directory. Very simple like that. I don't need to specify, but if you need to add more documentation for your users, no problem, feel free to do that. I don't need any settings for now. Okay, but I will keep it very empty like that. For the first version we don't need it, but I am going to add a config later, so I need it. All this stuff from client side, we don't need it. I delete it. But yes, in some tutorials I'm going to show you how to use client side scripting in total.js flow components. Yes, I remove the footer too, and it is okay. From now, what do we need? We need Shokida. Okay, I can copy this, okay, and paste this here. Whenever a component is creating, we need to require our Shokida inside of our function. Okay, after that, what do we need? We need to register a watcher. Okay, I can decide to watch everything and display it like that. But how I do that? It is very easy. We don't have any input here, so I don't forget to remove instance.message, because any input message is coming, right? So we don't need it. Okay, what we need to do maybe is to okay, make it, copy and paste it here. Okay, because whatever the case, I can put it outside here there, but no, not here. I can put it inside of globally here, but since I know that we are going to add any config, I don't see any problem to do that. But next thing, we have to add the folder we need to watch in my file system. Okay, I have to find a full path, absolute path to the folder where I want to watch. So I make it like that. Path is going to be, okay, in my file system it is users / imac / desktop and / out. Okay, I don't have the folder for now, but I'm going to create it for us. So what I do is I right click here and create a new folder in my desktop, and I rename it to out. Okay, I make sure that I don't, okay, this is the out, or maybe I call it in instead of out. Yes, I'm going to call it in, because I am going to drop some file here and see if this file is going to be detected by our Shokida. Okay, I put in here, and yes, it is okay. What I'm going to watch is nothing but the path. For now I have a static path here, but I can make it customizable by adding any config here. This is what I'm going to do, and what I'm going to watch, I'm watching everything, because Shokida is going to allow us to watch many things we need, like this. Okay, you can watch new files, okay, and watch some directories, some globe files, anything, okay, some iOS too. So I am going to watch everything, and I think it is okay. Yes, it is okay. Or if I want to make it very simple, make it great, I can do something like that. Okay, create a watcher instance, and okay, a watcher instance, and here what I do is, if we have a watch, oh no, yes, this is going to be better. If I have any watcher, okay, what I have to do is to close the watcher. This is very important, because we don't want to spin up many watchers in our file system, in our computer, so we need to optimize things. Okay, we have a watcher here, and if there is any watcher, we are going to close the watcher before we create a new watcher. Okay, how I do that? I make it like that. If any watcher.close. And how do I know that watcher.close is existing? I can scroll to this part. Okay, any watcher we create, we can close this with this function close. Okay, and if we close it, what we need to do is to create a new watcher, and watcher is going to be Shokida. Okay, I can paste this now here, .watch. Yes, and I can say also watcher.on to start watching for every change in the file system. And after I have anything, a new event, I have to send it to the output. Okay, that is why I need to to make instance dot send and say output like that, what I need to do is the path. I send a path to the output. Now let us check everything if it is working, and also if the watcher is the component is unregistered read, we need to see if watcher is existing. So I can do the same, copy the same code from here and paste it here. This is how we can make our code very optimized, because we don't need to keep some instances and workflows that watches things we don't use. So let me try to save it to see if it is going to work. Yes, now from first saving it is going to take some time, because the instance of Total.js flow is trying to import and install the dependencies, because yes, we need to install to do npm install. That is why the first save is taking some time, but after that it is okay. Here is our component. Okay, if I double click, we don't have something special. Let me look into the console. The console is still empty. We don't have some errors, so maybe it is going to work. We need a print to see if things are going to work properly. Yes, okay. First save, we see that it is sending the path here, but why it is sending the path? Because it is taking this path from global, so I have to make it different from this one. Okay, how do I call it? Let me call it P, okay, to make it different, because if we have same variables like that, it is confusing. So let me clear it, and what I need to do is to drag and drop any file here to see if the showkita component is going to detect it. I have a PDF file here. I drag and drop, and boom, as you can see, our component is detecting a new file in the system, and this is very important. Looks like there is some hidden files that are part of it, but anyway, okay, we can make a file like that, a component like that, to watch every change in the file system. Let me take just another thing again. I can copy something like that, or copy this and paste. If I paste, boom, okay, you see we have a new file that is added like that, and this way we can know what is happening in our file. Great, but what if we need to change the path to watch? Okay, how I do that? Instead of putting a static path like that, I am going to take the path from the config. Let me say path here, and by default it is empty, and okay, I don't need this path again. I can remove it, and here I can say config dot path whenever we are saving it, and okay, this way it is already. And here I need to bind a component, the input component, to our config. How I do that? So alright, the component needs something like a path. To bind this, how I do that? I have to put the question mark dot path. Okay, this is a reference to this path. Okay, and we need to add something like yes, the component has to have a name at first. This is something I should not forget, and I say it is input. The type of input by default is let me see, by default it is text, but I need to add something like nothing to add. I will keep it simple like that, because the goal of this video is not to make things complex. Okay, I'm not going to make it very easy like that. So how I do that, I say this is the path to watch, but at least the path must be required, so I need a config. Yes, and I say required is one. It means true. Okay, true or false. This is how Total.js UI client side UI component is going to understand things. So from here I can say I'm sorry for this, but as you can see, we can have a path here. I can take the same path like users slash sorry, this is okay slash iMac slash desktop slash in. I save, and as you can see, it is going to watch and take everything from here. Okay, feel free to check here whatever you want to add. It is very easy. Okay, this was a very simple example to show you how it works. And yes, thank you for watching. See you next. Ciao.